Hello everybody. Today we will be doing more REPL.it Python speedruns, starting from 6.A to 6.C. So, 6.A, while loop number of even elements. Our task is, given a sequence of non-negative integers where each number is written in a separate line. The sequence ends with 0. Print the number of even elements in the sequence. So for example, if our inputs are 2, 1, 4, and 0, that means our output will be 2 because there are two even elements, 2 and 4. So first I will be storing the input in a variable. So n equals int input. Next. So this will get the input of 2 right now. Now, I will be creating a variable that is a counter. So count equals 0. This variable, I will be using this variable to count the number of even elements there are in the input given. Now, I will be doing our while loop. While n is not equal to 0. So this will check if our input is not equal to 0. And if it is equal to 0, then it will break the loop. So while it's not, we use an if statement. So if n modulo 2 is equal to 0, then we add 1 to our count. So this right here will check if our number is even, because the modulo sign here divides the number and checks if it has a remainder. And if it has no remainder when dividing it by 2, that means that the number is even. And that means that we will add 1 to our even number count. Then we will be updating our input. So n equals int input. So the next time this while loop runs, it will be the next input inside the loop. It will be the next number inside the input. Now with this, we can print count. And if we run this, it should, if we run this with the example input, it should print 2. Now if you submit this, that means that this code for section 6.A in the Python speedrun is correct. Now onto 6.B, while loop greater than previous. So the task is given a sequence of non-negative integers where each number is written in a separate line. The sequence ends with 0. Print the number of elements of the sequence that are greater than their neighbors above. For example, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 0. That means that the output is 4. This is because we have to print the number of elements of the sequence that are greater than the neighbors above. So 2 is greater than 1, 3 is greater than 2, 4 is greater than 3, and 5 is greater than 4. That means that there are 4 elements that are greater than their neighbors above. Therefore, we print 4. So for this task, we need 2 variables. Let's name them first and second. So we need 2 variables because we can't have only one variable that stores both of the 2 numbers. Now we will go on to the while loop. While second is not equal to 0. And now I'm going to be using the variable second instead of the variable first, because the variable second is the number that will first reach 0, and therefore I will check if the variable second is 0, and that will break the while loop. So the second variable, while second is equal to 0, then we have to use the if statement. If the second variable, if second, or the second number, is bigger than the first number. Okay, I forgot to establish a count variable. So count equals 0. And we will be using this variable to count the number of elements in the sequence that are greater than their neighbors above. So count plus equals 1. This will add 1 to the count if the second is bigger than the first. Oops. Also, make sure to make these in input and don't put them as 0 as I just have. So this first variable will be getting 1. The second will be getting 2. And now we have to update those first and second variables. So first equals second, and second equals int input. So what is happening in this line? This line of code makes the first variable equal to the second variable. And since the second variable is only one index higher than the first variable, that means that the first variable will be equal to the second variable. And now the second variable will be equal to the variable above the first. So for example, if the first variable was 1 and the second variable was 2, now the first variable was 2 and the second variable is going to be 3. Now with this, we have to print count. So print count. And if we run this code with the example input, our output is 4, and that's correct. So if we submit this, then task 6b, while loop greater than neighbors, with using this code is correct. Now on to 6c. Given a sequence of distinct non-negative integers, where each number is written in a separate line, the sequence ends with 0. Print the second largest element in this sequence. It is guaranteed that the sequence has at least 2 elements. So the task is asking for us to print the second largest element instead of the largest element, where we have seen in 6.9, I think. So for example, if our inputs are 1, 7, 9, and 0, then our output is 7. This is because 9 is our greatest number, but we don't want to print that. We want to print the second greatest number. And 7 is bigger than 1, therefore our second biggest number is 7. So first, as always, I will be getting the input. So A equals int input. Next, I will be making a variable that stores the max number. So max num equals 0 for now. And I will also be making a variable that stores the second maximum, as that's what we want. So second max equals 0 also. Now I will be making our while loop. While a is not equal to 0, as we have to make sure that 0 is the end of the sequence. Now we check if a, which is the input, is bigger than our maximum number. So if a is bigger than our maximum number, then our maximum number will be equal to a, and our second maximum will be equal to the maximum number. So actually, this should go on top to make sure that we update the second maximum before the maximum number. So this here makes the second maximum equal to the maximum number. Then this line here, updates the maximum number, so it's equal to A, because A is, and only if A is bigger than the maximum number. Now, we will use this elif statement to check if A is bigger than the second maximum, but not bigger than the first maximum. So A is bigger than the second maximum, and A is smaller than the maximum. This is because we don't want to update A as the second maximum number if A is bigger than the maximum number. Therefore, this will check if it's in the middle of the second maximum and the maximum number. Now, if this statement is true, then we will update the second maximum to A, because it is A is bigger, our input is bigger than the second maximum, but our input is smaller than the maximum. Therefore, we don't update it as the maximum, but we instead update it as the second maximum. Now, with all of this, we have to update our input. So A equals int input. And now we have to print our second maximum. So print second max. Now if we run this and we put the example input in, this should output 7. And now if I submit this, then it should be correct. Thanks for joining me speedrun Python replets from 6A to 6C, and I hope to see you next time.